Good morning, everyone. Welcome to MGT559 Contemporary Issues in Leadership. I'm your lecturer for this session. My name is Hedy Bryant. Some of you I would have had before, and for some of you this is very new. I'm just going to work through a little PowerPoint and give you a bit of an overview of the subject so that you don't kind of feel a bit at sea when you actually start the subject. So first of all, I'll go over the learning objectives again because I think it's always good to start from there. So at the end of the subject, you will be, and it is about contemporary issues in leadership. So I thought this was actually very timely to look at current things that are going on, and so at the end of the subject you'll be able to identify and discuss how leadership is mobilised in relation to a range of contemporary challenges. And so underlying this whole subject is the notion that we do have quite a range of contemporary challenges in leadership, and how we respond to those is very important. So this subject will give you the ability to actually identify what these contemporary challenges are and to actually work out how you're actually going to respond to them. And to be able to critically engage in discussions about the ethical dimensions of leadership. So you'll get a chance to share on the forum, particularly for the first assessment, to look at some of the ethical dilemmas that we face. And then to be able to build a theoretical framework for the practice of leadership in the face of these challenges. So at the end of the subject, you'll actually have a theoretical framework, a theory of how you will actually respond to those challenges. And you'll also be able to effectively articulate and put into practice learning about the leadership in the subject. And you'll do that through developing an intervention plan. So the essential elements of the subject are, first of all, you will actually experience leadership and around real-world issues, okay? And so you'll be interrogating contemporary media, and you'll also be looking at your leadership within the organisational context as well. What's going on outside in the world, globally, and what's happening on your patch. You'll be looking at the ethical dimensions and the societal dimensions of leadership as well, and how they affect you working at the organisational or even at the community level. So yeah, it's very, very contemporary this. So I've actually got resources on the site where you'll actually be able to go to actually find out more about what's happening across the world and also in Australia. It's also about managing diversity, which is so very, very important because diversity underpins all of this. So how do we actually respond to that? And your text, which is Simon Weston, A Critical Text, is very, very good. Leadership, A Critical Text is an excellent text. I've actually got it here. It's one of my Bibles. There's a very good chapter on diversity. There's a chapter on organisational culture. Each week you will work through a chapter. You'll actually come out the other side having a much stronger understanding of leadership and of the 4 discourses of leadership as well. This is a very strong text for actually identifying those 4 different discourses of leadership, coming at the end to the eco-leadership. So this is just a little picture of it moving from the controller discourse to the therapist, to the messiah, to the eco-leadership. And all of these are all still operating today, but we're moving into a world where we need more ecosystem leadership, more networked leadership, leading from the self, from the eco, and not from the ego self, more from the eco self, and that networked relational style of leadership underpins all of this. And using that type of leadership and a mix of the others, you will then be able to respond to a contemporary challenge, which you will be actually asked to identify either in your organisation, in your workplace, or in the community, and then you'll actually research that, and you'll actually develop a literature review for that, and then you'll actually put in place an intervention plan for responding to that challenge in your workplace or community. So that's the essence of the subject. As I said, all of this is underpinned by eco-leadership, but you might find other parts of the other leadership styles that fit in well with this as well. Okay? So there's 12 weeks with a Christmas break, so we have a bit of a rest then, but I do urge you to keep going, particularly if that's the only break you get, to actually keep going. Don't disengage, because it's sometimes really good to keep reading at least, because after that the literature review is due as well. We have an Interact 2 site, which is basically Blackboard, and there's lots of instructions on how to use that if you're new to study at CSU. So we've got lots of advice on that. We have online meetings using Adobe Connect. Just look at the schedule. Our first meeting is next Monday from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. I'll have a lecture one week, a chat the next week. Sometimes the in-between week might be more of a lecture, and I'll focus on assessment as well, because that's what you always need to seem to be wanting to know. And at those online meetings, we always have a Q&A session as well. And it's sometimes good practice to send me some questions beforehand. Also, if you have questions of me that you think will benefit the rest of the other students, and there's 65 students so far in this subject, just post those to the forum, to the discussion forum, either under, if it's to do with assessment, the assessment forum, or under the general forum, and I'll respond to those, and then everyone will benefit from those. And so it's very collaborative, and it's based on action learning and feedback. So your project is based on that action learning, that experiential learning cycle, where you actually research, plan to do something, you actually enact that particular intervention, that particular practice. You reflect on how that went, how did that go, what does that mean for me? What's the theory underpinning that, and what will I do in the future? So it's really that cycle. And also there's the discussion forums, which are really important. Now there's a discussion forum which is called a participation forum. Get onto that straight away, because you need to identify a challenge for you straight away in your workplace or community. Post up what that challenge is, and then you're asked to respond to one other challenge that somebody else, one of your peers, has posted, talking to the ethical dimensions of that particular challenge. And that's your first assessment. And you'll submit that through CSU Easts, and I'll also be looking at that on the forum as well. Okay. We also have CSU ThinkSpace, and that's for our Master of Business Leadership students. However, if you're studying in another course, it's always good practice to actually develop a ThinkSpace. It's an or an electronic portfolio. There's lots of advice on how to do that on the site as well. Just go to the left-hand links. Really lovely to actually have an e-portfolio that you can actually showcase your work. You can post up all your assessments, you can post up your bloggings, you can post up the things that you've put on the discussion forum. You can then chart your progress over your course of your studies, and you can use this when you're actually applying for jobs too. So in some ways it's a career portfolio as well. Okay. And then there are key milestones, as I've said all along, and they are the assessment, the first Contemporary Leadership Challenge, which I think is due around the 5th of January, the 27th of November. The literature review is due on the 5th of January, and you also have to have a media file in there as well. There's advice on how to do a media file that comes from the library. There's also advice on how to do a literature review in the library as well. And I've got all those links there under resources. And then you'll actually develop an intervention plan as well. And then over the period of maybe from the end of December through January, you'll be actually putting that intervention plan in place and learning in action. And then the final assessment will be the challenge, identified, articulated, a summarized literature review, and then the plan, and then what you reflect on that learning. The marking criteria, follow that to the T, because if you follow the marking criteria, you can't go wrong when it comes to assessment. And I really do like to see when you actually submit your assessments that you actually, when you do that, you actually put each of the assessment tasks as a header. So you actually have section headings for your essays. It's just much easier for myself, or if I have markers as well, but I will be marking all of these, to actually mark. If you're not in the habit of doing that, please do that. We've just flipped too far ahead now, so we're just going to go back. So if we look at the learning in action, it follows the do it, okay? Just go ahead and do it. Put the intervention in place. What happened? What were the results? So what? What do these results imply? How did I influence the outcome? And what are you going to do differently the next time? So what theoretical underpinning is that? What worked? What didn't work? What will you do in future? And how was that informed? How is your practice informed by the theory that you're learning as well? Okay? So that's basically it in a nutshell. If you follow this, I don't think you can go wrong. I'm hoping this recording has recorded better than the last one that I did. So if you have any questions, please email me. My email address is there, hbryant@csu.edu.au. My phone number is, now if you're out of the country, it's 612. If you're in the country, it's 026324162. I only work part-time. Well, I've been working more than part-time, but I'm hoping to work part-time over the summer. So if I don't answer the phone straight away or respond to your emails, I will do so within 2 to 3 days, okay? And if it's a question, as I said, that others can benefit from, post it to the forum. I'll respond to it, and then everyone can see what's happening, okay? So I'm really looking forward to spending this time with you over the summer, and I've just been timed out, so that's it from me. Cheers.